right. Okay. I see that I hear my microphone. This talk will be in English, so let me start the timer. And here we are, create video games in Flutter. So wonderful, let's start. Let's see if my pointer works. And it worked in a moment, but it doesn't anymore. So let's try again. Wonderful, now we have it. All right, create video games in Flutter. This is me, this is Mirko. I am Mirko Raimo. I'm a Google Developer Group organizer for the Florence chapter, GDG Firenze. And you can find me basically everywhere, on Stack Overflow, GitHub, YouTube, Instagram, and let's remove the pointer. Here we are. And you can find me basically everywhere. If I'm not on the stage, probably it's because in my life, I turn designs into application using Flutter. And if you cannot find me on the stage, probably you can find me during the night dancing salsa or bachata. So if you want to dance, we can go and dance salsa and bachata somewhere. Or you can find me around the world because I'm also a We Road travel coordinator. And in what remains of my free time, I'm trying to create a platform to help people with their mental health and maybe connecting them with psychologists. So this is me, and I would like you to make a round of applause for GDG Pizza because they created this wonderful and amazing event. They have a huge amount of speakers. They have 4 rooms, 4 chapters, and that's wonderful. So, since there are 4 rooms, let's understand, are you ready to find out how deep the rabbit hole goes for Flutter and game development? Now, let's try to understand if you are in the right place, because actually there are 4 rooms. So, maybe you heard about Flutter, but you never tried it. So actually you want to learn Flutter by building a video game. Anyone in this situation? Wonderful. Otherwise, you may know Flutter already, and you actually want to use it to build video games. Anyone for that? Great. I see that someone didn't raise their hand, so I expect that the rest of us, it's basically because you were following your crush, who actually wants to attend this talk. No one? Oh, wonderful. All right then, keep your secrets, I don't care. Maybe you will find love here other than just technical stuff. Today's agenda, what is Flutter? Casual development toolkit, 2D games with Flame, accessibility with Flutter, and additional resources. Camillo, this will be a really tough hour. It's not an hour, 50 minutes. Not 50 minutes, 40 minutes. Right, guys, this is tough, we have to run. Let's rush. The first part of this talk is based on this video. I want you to know that Flutter provides us a ton of documentation, really a lot of documentation, both written and with videos. So I want to show you that Flutter has an official YouTube channel where they show you a ton of useful resources. So let's start by understanding what Flutter is. Flutter is Google's open source UI framework for building beautiful multi-platform applications and games. They are trying to push to create games by using their framework. You can see that more than 15,000 Flutter games have been published in the latest 12 months. This data is not super updated. This is May 2024, but you can see that there are some important names here. So there is for Pix1 World that has been completely redesigned by using Flutter, and we can also see PlayerUnknown Battleground. That I actually have to tell you that they didn't recreate the game engine itself. They just created the rest of the application using Flutter, so the community part and so on. So basically, when you are creating something, the first question you have to ask yourself is, Which device will my software need to run on? Which language or framework will I need? So maybe you want to develop in Swift. You need to develop for iOS, you need Swift. You want to develop for Android, you need Kotlin. That's the question that you actually ask yourself. With Flutter, not anymore, because with Flutter, the question you have to ask yourself is, what do I want to build? What is the user experience I want my clients to have? So with Flutter, basically you write the code once, and you can release it virtually on any device. Just to let you have a reference, those are all the supported platforms. Here I have all the documentation, but you can see that there is Android, iOS, macOS, Windows, Linux, web, and there is also embedded. That's amazing. That's basically something that's really hard to achieve with other frameworks. So, what are the Flutter's pillars? Flutter's foundational pillar. Flutter is fast, is productive, is beautiful, open, and portable. Flutter is compiled directly to machine code, so the final application doesn't need to go through any bridge or JavaScript interpreter, because Flutter delivers apps that run at 60 frames per second or 120 frames on device that actually supported. So the first part is super important to compete with other frameworks. The other part is really important for what we are here today, so about game development. Flutter loves productivity, so Flutter has a wonderful feature called hot reload that actually speeds up your development time a lot. I put a side note here because actually Flame only supports hot restart. What is Flame? Flame is the game engine we will look at in a moment, but I wanted to point out this part. What is hot reload? So imagine you are developing your application and you are super nested in your state. You are one screen down, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20. So your state is really complex. And that moment your designer arrives, taps you on the shoulder and asks you, that's wonderful, I want to make this change. You don't have to go crazy. You make the change in the UI, you press Ctrl S, and the state is there. So you don't have to restart everything. That's amazing. Flutter is beautiful. Right out of the box, Flutter provides a rich set of tools. This enables us to implement attractive design more quickly and easily. So imagine your user is using Android or iOS. Android and iOS have different user experiences. Just imagine the usual toggle button, so the switch that changes something. On iOS is different than on Android. In Flutter, you call the named constructor called .adaptive, and automatically it changes the UI of that toggle. And Flutter is open source. Yeah, everyone knows what open source is, but it's not so open source. Actually, Flutter it is. You can see that, as usual, this is the YouTube channel again. They made an entire video on how to contribute to Flutter. So basically, you can watch this video, and they here teach you in 1 hour 30, how to find open issues and solve for Flutter, so you can have your name directly on the Flutter repository. So this is really interesting. And finally, Flutter is portable, so it can run on mobile, desktop, web, or embedded. And you ask yourself, what does that mean? Actually, Flutter has been used for Google Earth, Alibaba, and Toyota. Those are some honorable mentions. When I saw that, I asked myself, really Google Earth uses Flutter? The outer part of the site, so the main part of the site, has been built by using more standard approaches, but once you enter the site, everything goes in Flutter. So if you do inspect, you will see the Flutter code, really. And Alibaba is completely remade again with Flutter, and also Toyota. This is crazy, because I noticed that here, there is the showcase. I put everything, all the documentation. Basically, Flutter solution, basically Toyota's engineered solution, used Flutter embedded API to develop their Linux-powered infotainment system. So basically, the new infotainment system of Toyota, of the new cars, is based on Flutter, and this is crazy. And finally, another video on their YouTube channel where they show you how to use Flutter on Raspberry Pi. So basically, they created a game, they transformed Raspberry Pi into a console, and they show you how to create a game for Raspberry Pi. Everything on the YouTube channel, official Flutter. So I expect these are to learn, or maybe not. Flutter provides you a lot of documentation, so it doesn't matter if you are an Android developer, a Swift UI developer, React Native, Xamarin Form, you come from Swift, everything is there. You have quick guides to start using Flutter. That's amazing. And also, in this part of the site, you can see also that they have code labs, cookbooks, demos and samples, and furthermore, they let you show you AI, Firebase, Firestore, games, monetization, and so on and so forth. So they provide you a ton of documentation. And obviously, what is this? Someone can guess it. This is the YouTube Flutter channel. So obviously, you can go there and find a lot. So guys, on Tuesday, when you go on the gym and you step on your treadmill, get rid of Netflix. Open YouTube and watch Flutter's videos. They provide you a ton of documentation. So get rid of Netflix. Flutter is here. So basically, this is the situation with the Flutter team. So this is why I fell in love with Flutter instead of other frameworks. Flutter team, documentation developers. And now we are ready to start for Flutter for Games, but in a moment, because I have a drink. I take a sip. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, are we ready to start for Flutter for Games? Let's go. Flutter for Games, Google for Games, Casual Development Toolkit, Casual Games Development Toolkit. What is this stuff? What is this strange, what are those strange words and so on? Flutter for Games, this is the documentation, this is the official site, and I explain you what is the Casual Games Toolkit. So basically the idea is this one. It arrived a guy that wanted to create a game. And so this person had to create the settings page, the levels page, the achievement page, the monetization page, the advertisement page. And then another person arrived and had to create the settings page, the achievement page, the level page, and so on. And then another person, another person, another person. So Flutter told themselves, let's create something that we just give to the community, and you, as developer, don't have to focus on the settings page, the sound effects, whatever you want. You just have to create your experience, your ideas into pixels. You just have to create what you love, not the boilerplate, because it's Flutter that provides you the boilerplate. This is the GitHub. You check out this repository, and you have a wonderful starting point. And you can see that in the README file, they show you the templates here and the sample, how the folders are structured. So you have the basic template, the car template, the endless runner, and you have the samples, how to use advertisement, how to use multiplayer. So guys, let's have a deal. I will show you some code. I will show you a ton of code. Don't focus too much on the code. Focus on the concept, because just come to me, go to the guys in GDG Pisa. I will provide you the slides with all the resources. So just focus on the concept here, not on the code. This is the Flutter for Games template basic. So when you check out the repo and you start it, you basically have this part. So you have the setting page in this case, you have music, sound effect, reset progresses, and so on and so forth. And Basically, with the basic template, you have how to create a main menu, how to create the settings, how to manage music, how to manage state, how to create and complete levels, handle navigation, themes. You see that there is a particular font here. So basically, right out of the box, you have all of this stuff. You don't have to care about that. Now, this is really simple. This is just a slider, and if you reach a certain percentage of level, you win the game. It doesn't matter that. There is where you have to put your ideas, not the slider. So this is the game, among quotes. And then it shows you a winning page. But let's see something more spicy, something more interesting, something that is more attractive. Still in the casual development toolkit, you have the card template. Basically, here you have everything included in the basic template, but it lets you show you how to use drag and drop. So if you want to create your next card game, you want to create your next Hearthstone game, your next TGC game, this is a wonderful starting point. And you have it there for free. And finally, the last template that you have is the endless runner. So basically here you have everything that's included in the basic template, but furthermore, here you have also flame features. So you have the player steering, collision detection, parallax, effects, spawns. You have everything there just waiting for you. And this is the game that you see. So basically, we have two types of game. We have turn-based games and real-time games. This is a distinction that we can make. Turn-based games, what does it mean? It means something like a board game, a card game, a puzzles, or strategy games. On the other hand, you have real-time games. So you have an endless runner, like the one that we saw earlier. Or you have racing games, or collision detection, or camera views. Why is it important to have this distinction? Because basically, depending on which game you want to create, you can use two different approaches. One is using just Flutter standard, so normal components, what you have out of the box with the normal framework, with the usual one. Otherwise, if you are aging to create something like that, you need the Flame, so the game engine built on top of Flutter. Let's have a look on both of them after I took a sip of water. We are super duper on time, hyper duper on time. So, let's deep dive. Guys, I see that you don't like my memes and my GIFs. I'm joking. So this is how I normally make presentation. I love memes, I love GIFs, so let's deep dive into that. Template. Don't start with the basic. We saw the basic. What is the basic? It's super easy, super fun. Let's see what the template cards has to offer us. So this is the template cards, as you saw. And let's see how to build a card game in Flutter. Of course, what is this? Someone can guess it? Again? Great. This is YouTube channel. Guys, again, imagine not on Tuesday, you are on Thursday. You are sitting on your couch, you are inviting to your house your crush. Netflix and chills is overrated. Flutter. Come, I show you how to create draggables in Flutter. Come and I have something to show you at home, how to create draggables widgets. So basically, this is the widget of the week. It is a series, and they are super quick, just 1 minute. In 1 minute, you have everything you need, most of it, how to create something. This is a widget, the widget draggable. So basically, for the people who don't know what Flutter is a declarative approach framework, not an imperative. So basically, you tell Flutter what you like to have, not exactly how you want to build. This is just the differences between declarative and imperative approach, and this is draggable. So basically, to drag something around, you just take your child, in this case is my blue box, and you wrap it into a draggable widget. So basically here you have some properties. Those are the main used ones. This is your interesting type. This is my blue box. And you can see that when you have when you move your widget around, my blue box, I want it to become a more rounded blue box. You can see that now it has rounded corners. And you can also leave something behind, like my gray box. This is really simple. This is to create maybe more traditional application. You're creating a document style app. So you select more than one photo. You want to drag everything and put them in a folder. You can use the draggable, and maybe when you drag them around, you want all of them to stack together. This is how to do that. So if we go to our code, this is the template, and we can see that we have our playing card widget that actually uses the draggable component. And it actually has the child, that in this case is the card widget, and you can see that it also has a feedback, so that it has your child that tilts a bit. So if we can see, when we go and we drag our card, the card tilts a bit. Did you saw it? It tilts, and it also leaves something behind. It also leaves behind the card widget with some opacity. So you basically do that just by declaring what you want to achieve. Your card, what you want to leave behind, and maybe if you want to do something. Really simple. And that's wonderful. This is how to manage what you want. And what do we have to do to place it somewhere? So how to achieve the final part when you leave it behind, when you leave it on the target? You use the drag target. That is another widget. So basically, this is where the draggable can be dropped. And Builder builds the landing widget. Builder is this part here. And if you want to understand if something is around, is hovering, you can use the candidate. So in this case, you can see that this is the card, the previous one. When something hovers the drag target, you can change the target. So basically, again, in our code, we have that we have our drag target. And basically here we have on leave, on accept, and so on and so forth. This is just an example on how drag accept works in that template. Basically, you can accept the card and you remove it from the holder. Again, the Flutter templates casual development toolkit has all the bells and whistles for you to start with games. But what does context.read means? This is a really important question for people who are not familiar with Flutter. Thank you very much for the spontaneous question. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk a bit about state management. All right, so it doesn't matter which is the framework you're using or the language, whatever it is, you have to deal with state management at some point. What is state management? Let's say that you are in a page, you want to update a counter. Okay, that's super easy. I have the stage in the page, update the counter, and update the stage. Super easy. But this is in that page. What happens when I want something that can be accessed by more than one page? Like, for example, a cart. Imagine your Amazon account. You have your cart, and you can access cart's information everywhere in the application. It's not so easy. You have to approach with a different approach. In this case, state management. Again, in my slides, you have all the information. So just cast for the slides, and you will get all the information. So just to let you have an idea, when you over to that site, to the Flutter documentation, you will find that you can use provider or riverpod, or you can also use value notifier or inherited widgets. Or you can also use this approach, or this approach, or this approach, or this approach, or this approach. Guys, you have a ton of different ways to solve this problem. You have literally everything. What Flutter does here is that it doesn't matter if you yet know something. If you know Redux, this is the documentation for using Redux in Flutter. If you know getX, use getX. This is the documentation. In short, it doesn't matter which one you pick. In a moment or in another, you have to pick something. Just pick the one that you prefer the most. I can suggest you these approaches: the block, the Redux, or the providers. Block, basically, by the community, it has become one of the standards. So if you look at it around, block is one of the most popular. Other than block, you may like Redux, that is also used several times, or Riverpod. And finally, providers. Provider is the most basic one. It's super easy, and in fact, it's the one that Flutter helps you start with, because basically everyone is, in a way or another, based on providers. And this is, again, an official tutorial on how to start using providers. This is actually the example that I showed you earlier. So when you have a cart and you want to access it basically everywhere. So really in a nutshell, because it takes a really long time and we can have a completely standalone talk on how to handle state management. Basically, it works with three main components: change notifier, change notifier provider, and consumer. If a class extends change notifier, we can listen to its state changes. So in this case, in the template, player progress extends change notifier. So basically, this is telling at some point someone will know my state. To notify listeners, you just use the method notify listener inside the relevant method. So in this case, I wanted to reset the progresses. I reset, I do my logic, I notify everyone who is listening to me. Then you have the change notifier provider. So change notifier provider basically is telling that this widget provides an instance of change notifier to its dependencies. So basically, change notifier is telling, okay, someone will want to access player progress state. So you need the change notifier provider. And finally, to consume this state, to use this state, you need to update the UI a consumer. So the consumer is this one. Consumer lets us update the UI based on the state changes. So basically, this is the consumer, and you update your cart total price. This one is the state that you want to access. Really in a simple manner, you can also replace your consumer with context.watch. So listens to provider changes. And this one is really perfect for updating the UI. Otherwise, if you want not to continuously listen that state, but you want just to access some methods, some properties, whatever you want, you can use context.read. Reads the value only once, perfect for invoking actions. Why this distinction? Just for performances reasons. We are talking about games, let's care about performances. By the way, if you have some lack of performances in your application, it doesn't matter if it is a game or an application, there is all a dedicated section on the Flutter documentation dedicated to performances. So it may occur that you are using wrongly a widget or wrongly an approach or a state management. They show you how to enable developer tools to see where you have dropping frames and what is the cause, what is the problem. So over to the documentation, because they show you, maybe you're using this animation controller wrongly. Let's see. So coming back to our example, this is how we call the play sound effect method. Basically, on drag started, this is our car template. We use context.read, perfect for accessing something without listening again and again and again the state, and we call just play sound effect whoosh. Maybe you didn't saw this template in action, but it actually has all sounds made by mouth. So whoosh, whoosh, wow, woof, whoop. It was a really simple manner to create non-copyrighted sounds for a template. So in case you want to create something without copyright, this is a starting approach. Don't use it for a commercial application. Maybe yes, it depends on your target, maybe. And finally, I guess you know what it is. Maybe not. Maybe it's the first time. In case it's the first time you see what is this stuff, this is the YouTube channel of the Flutter documentation, of the Flutter team. And this is Philip, the guy who actually created the Flutter Casual Development Toolkit. In this video that is 1 hour long, it shows you, it walks you through all the casual games toolkit. And it doesn't show the card section, the endless runner section, just the folders. And maybe you are yet aware about what Flutter is, you know how to structure Flutter and a Flutter application and so on. My suggestion is have a look on this video, because in this video it shows you tips and tricks on how to enhance your application. Let's say, for example, that you want to display advertisements to non-payant users. Here, it tells you, okay, how many seconds can a person stay on a page? 1 second, 2 seconds, half of a second, fraction of a second. You have to show your advertisement, otherwise no one pays the bills at the end. So here, it shows you how to implement a cache to show immediately something, in this case a banner, for example, that in this case you are for sure showing what pays you at the end. And a lot of really interesting tips and tricks. So also user experiences and so on. He was in the Flutter team, and he dropped the Flutter team to take his own path to the game development path. So he knows a lot about this stuff. And this is the end of Flutter standards. So great, wonderful. You had an introduction on how to create turn-based games. But now we have to go for Flame. So this is a Flame game. Just to remind yourself, this is an endless runner, so we need a game engine, and you can see that you tap somewhere in the screen, and you can see your player steering, and so on and so forth. Let me have a sip, guys. Are you ready to level up?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, let's go. 2D games in Flame. We have a lot to talk over. Flexible, open source, and runs everywhere. This is the Flame start. Flame is a game engine built on top of Flutter. It runs on mobile, desktop, and web. This is really interesting. Obviously, as you know, this is the YouTube channel, and they have also a package of the week series. It's a little bit longer. It's just not anymore a widget. It's a whole package. And here they show you all what's important about packages. In this case, Flame. Flame game. To use Flame, which is actually a game engine, you need to extend the Flame game class. Among the various methods, 2 are the most important: onload and update. Here and here. Onload. You can use the onload method to actually load components. If Flutter has a widget, Flame has components. Basically, when I load something, I want to load my character and put it. So coming back to our example, this is the endless word, we can see that we have the onload and we are adding the player. Here we are creating the player, we are adding the player. Then we have the update method. Really simple, it takes a delta time, that's important, it's time, not frames, because we are talking about times. If we have a screen that runs on 60 frames per second and another one on 120, we cannot pass times, we cannot pass frames. Otherwise, a game would run faster on a screen or slower on another. We need delta time. So this is update every tick passing delta time, which is the time in microseconds since the last update. So we can, for example, update the position. And this is just the life cycle. Obviously, documentation here, you can see that we have a load that runs once and a mount that runs once. And then we have update, render that runs on each tick. Then we have also other methods, but they are particular. In our template, we have the endless runner is a flame game, so we can continue with that. We also have the stuff that we will see in a moment. Endless runner, then, you can just play and put it into a scaffold. The endless runner is added inside a classical scaffold. If you are a Flutter developer, you just wake up and say, okay, wonderful. How my scaffold is wonderful, is okay. Does it need something? No, nothing, wonderful. Basically, the scaffold is what you have, the up bar, the body, the bottom bar, the navigation, whatever you want. So let's see, on load and update, we also can use it on sprites, on characters, not only on higher level stuff. We can use it basically everywhere. And inside our character, in fact, look at the hitbox. On load, we have our wonderful character, and then we add the circle hitbox. Then we also add other stuff, but we add the circle in this case. Basically, we can also improve our stuff by adding functionalities. We can use mixins that if you come from a different language, they basically are a sort of inheritance. For example, by adding hasGameRef, or we can access, in this case, we can access properties of the game word. In this case, in fact, we can see that my character extends something with hasGameRef. So it can access to GameRef properties, sides, for example. In fact, in our template, the player is using a ton of mixins, collision callbacks, for example. And in fact, talking about collisions, we can have the same stuff. We use the collision callbacks, and we say, on collision start, we do something. For example, in our template, we can see that on collision start, here it is, where it is here. What is the other? Imagine your character. What is the other? Is it an obstacle? Do some logic. It is a point. In this case, a point means a coin. You are collecting a coin. Do a different logic. So basically, this is how to deal with collisions. In this case, you do the hurt effect that is defined somewhere. Here, you play the sound effect, you remove from parent, and you add the score. Really easy, do your logic. This is how to do that. Again, everything is on the slide. And finally, you love parallax. Anyone who doesn't know what parallax is? Great, wonderful. Everyone is aware of how to run 2D games or how 2D games are. For the shiny people in the room, the parallax effect is basically when something in the background is lower than what is on the foreground. That gives you a sense of deepness. And basically, here is how to create the parallax effect. Let's see how much time we have. Basically nothing. And we are almost there. I know that you want to ask me this question. This is how to use the joystick. It's harder. There is a really longer guide. And finally, again, if you want to deep dive with game physics, this is other documentation just about game physics. This is a video updated 1 week ago or something like that, obviously in the Flutter channel. If you want to go deeper and you want not just a circle or rounded or squared boxes, and you want a skeleton, this is Rive. Rive allows you, you can see, to create elements with skeletons and so on. And finally, 1 minute dedicated to accessibility. Not everyone is equal to other person. Everyone has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. If you are creating a game where you can enhance it by adding accessibility, like a quiz game, my suggestion is to highly introduce it. Not only because Europe will force us to implement it, not only for that, but you can choose 2 different routes. You want to be a selfish person who wants to, I don't know, have the bigger community possible, or you can be a cheerful person to people, so you want to bring joy and amusement to everyone. This, you can do that just by adding accessibility. My suggestion is to use this package. It allows you to have this stuff. If you have accessibility problems, you will have this in the console. And basically, this is what people hear when they don't use accessibility. So you have the title, an image that is blank, and something here. And you can just fix it by adding a semantic label. So people who with sight disabilities, basically, this is what they hear. They enables the talkback. If you never heard about that, some people maybe have issues for their sight, and they can read out loud the screen. This is how to fix it. And basically, this is all the documentation. We cannot go deeper with that. This is obviously a video on how to use semantics. I expect you understand what is that. This is how to exclude semantic, and this is how to merge semantics. And obviously, 2-hour video about accessibility. This is the wrong slide, sorry, wrong deck. Didn't want to do that. Anyone who wants to scan this QR code? Obviously, that was a joke. If you scan the QR code, basically, you can literally access the game that I showed you. And this is running on web with the same code. The code that I showed you is basically this one. You can literally add on web. I will show you the QR code on the question. So wonderful! Have a round of applause, guys. This congratulations, you are ready to build how to build a video game in Flutter. So if you want to continue, there is a workshop. And basically, I want to tell you that Google allows you to have $500 to run other ads, and Cloud Platform, you have $400. Wonderful. If you want to go deeper, I remind you that at 4 p.m. you have another presentation for how technical directors are, and give that person a medal. They are still awake. Are there any questions? I remind you again that you have a ton of documentation in the slide. Just ask for that. Wonderful. More closer.
I know that for example, in the US, there is some limitation regarding the device like
I come closer because I cannot hear. With the microphone, so everyone.
I know that there is some limitations, especially on iOS.
Okay.
In security and the integration with IoT or joystick or something like that. With Flutter, we could have some problem of not developing on the native, like Object-C or something like that. Like for limitation, for security reasons or something like that.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, the question is iOS has some limitation about joysticks and other inputs. So what Flutter deals with that? Okay, to be really fair, I never encountered this topic on Flutter. I'm not super. I know game development. I started understanding that with the Google Developer Group Florence to show people how to use that. I never saw that in the documentation. So I expect that in a way or in another, they overcame this issue. But again, I suggest you to look at the documentation that I showed you. Are there any other questions? That's wonderful. So basically, again, Thank you for the attention. I am Mirko Raimo, and you can find me anywhere. Come by if you want to ask for any question and so on. And basically, this is me. If you are in Florence or nearby Florence, come and look at our GDG Florence. Wonderful. So that's it. And again, this is me. If you want to try again the code that I show you, I leave you with this QR code so that you can try the game that we developed together. And a wonderful round of applause also to Camilo here, who helped me deal with the stage. Thank you very much. Remind me at which time you will have your talk? At some point. Not today. Okay. All right. So thank you very much and see you around. Facciamoci una foto. Come here. Let us make a picture.
Bravo Mirko!
Fammi una foto.